Over rotations again. This is our third day. Okay, the first thing I actually want to show you is the different types of rotation. There's something called clockwise rotation and counterclockwise. So far we've only talked about counterclockwise rotations, but now I'm going to introduce you to what a clockwise rotation looks like as well. So if you look at the screen right now, I'm going to go ahead and rotate this image 90 degrees clockwise. Okay? I'm going to do the same thing with the image, but instead I'm going to do 180 degree clockwise. And last but not least, a 270 degree clockwise rotation. So you're going to notice after each rotation, the number 2 is in a different orientation. Okay? So now what I'm going to show you is a counterclockwise rotation. What I want you to keep in mind is you're going to notice some of these rotations match each other, meaning they're the same thing. So here we have a 90 degree counterclockwise rotation. Looks like that. A 180 degree counterclockwise rotation looks like this. And the last one, a 270 degrees counterclockwise rotation, looks like that. Hopefully you notice that some of them actually match, right? Yes? So help me out. Which one matches the 90 degree clockwise rotation? Tell me in 3, 2, 1, go. Counterclockwise, correct? So notice both of them, okay, they're the same thing. One is a clockwise, the other one is a counterclockwise. One is 90, the other one is 270. Okay, so these are the same things. So now what about a 180 degree clockwise rotation? What's the same thing as a 180 degree clockwise rotation? Tell me in 3, 2, 1, go.
180 counterclockwise.
Okay, so again, notice that there's a clockwise and a counterclockwise. So they kind of complement each other. One's 180 and the other one's also 180. And last but not least, what about the 270 degree clockwise rotation? Everyone at the same time. Go ahead and tell me which one this matches. Ready? Go.
90 degrees counterclockwise.
Okay, so again, notice I keep stressing one of them's clockwise, the other one's counterclockwise. Okay, the one is 270, the other one's 90. Hopefully you recognize that there's always a counter and a clockwise, and that they always add up to equal how much? 360 every single time, so there's a complement, okay? So now after seeing those different types of rotations, now we're going to go ahead and make some connections. A 180 degree counterclockwise rotation was the same thing as a 180 degrees clockwise rotation. Okay, so again, notice there's a counterclockwise and a clockwise, and both of these add up to 360 degrees. Now a 90 degree counterclockwise is the same thing as a 270 degree clockwise. Okay, so again, one's counter, the other one's clockwise. Okay, and they both add up to 360. Last one, the 270 degree counterclockwise is the same as a 90 degree clockwise. Okay, so notice again, one's counterclockwise, the other one's clockwise. They complement each other. And they both add up to 360 degrees. Now the other thing I want to go over is some of our coordinate rules. So write that down. Coordinate rule. Rules, actually plural. So here, for a 180 counterclockwise rotation, did the order of the coordinate pair stay the same or switch? It stayed the same. It was x, comma, y. However, we had to take the opposite of each coordinate. So it's the opposite of x, comma, the opposite of y. For a 90 degree counterclockwise rotation, did it stay in the same order or did they switch? They switched. So now it becomes y, comma, x. And here we had to take the opposite of the, which one? The y coordinate. And last but not least, the one that we learned yesterday was the 270 degree counterclockwise. So again, does the coordinate pair stay in the same order or do they switch? They switched, but this time we took the opposite of the x. So notice here, they're similar because they both have y comma x, but they're different because this one's the opposite of y and this one's the opposite of x. You're going to have to try really hard to distinguish the difference between those two because it can be easily confused for one for the other. Okay, so now we're going to come back to this in a moment towards the end of the lesson, so just keep that ready. So now I'm going to go ahead and jump into our first example. It says triangle ABC has the vertices A 1, 0, B 3, 3, C 5, 0. Rotate triangle ABC 180 degrees about the origin counterclockwise. So the first thing I'm going to do is just record the points that they gave me as the pre-image. So A is 1, 0, B is 3, 3, and C is 5, 0. Now I'm going to take a look at what they're asking me to do. They're asking me to do 180 degrees counterclockwise rotation. So I'm just going to remind myself what that coordinate rule looks like. It's the opposite of x, comma, the opposite of y. So now what I like to do is go ahead and write down A prime, B prime, C prime first, because I know personally if I don't write it now, I'm not going to remember to write it later. And I'm assuming some of you are like me and you might do the same mistake. So make sure you do this first, okay? So A prime, I'm going to go ahead and take the opposite of x and then the opposite of y. So that's going to leave me with negative 1, 0. B prime would leave me with negative 3, negative 3. And C prime would leave me with negative 5, 0. Notice there's no such thing as a negative 0, so I don't write that. So now that I have my new ordered pairs, I'm just going to plot them to see what this 180 degree rotation is going to look like if I move it counterclockwise. So A prime is negative 1, 0. Notice I label it as I plot them. Some of you are not going to do this, okay, and you're going to forget to do this. So please make sure you label it as you plot. B prime is negative 3, 3, so negative 3, negative 3. That's B prime. Last one, C prime is negative 5, 0. So this is C prime. And that's it. So after a 180 degree rotation counterclockwise, this is what I would end up with. Notice two things. One, the shape stayed the same. Two, the size also stayed the same. So if for some reason you end up with a different shape or a different size, that's a good indicator that you must have done something wrong. Okay? So now let's try our second example together. It's going to be the same triangle, however this time they're asking us to rotate it 90 degrees around the origin counterclockwise. So real quick, let's go ahead and just write the pre-image that they gave us. So A is 1, 0, B is 3, 3, and C is 5, 0. Now I'm going to need your help. If I'm doing a 90 degree counterclockwise rotation, what is my coordinate rule going to be? Tell me in 3, 2, 1, go.
Y, X.
One more time. Negative y, x. Very good. So here, now I want you to look up here. I'm going to give you a tip. What I would do again first is put A prime, B prime, C prime. But here, since I'm doing more than one point, what I'm going to suggest to you is go one at a time. For example, it says take the opposite of y. I'm going to do all of that right now. I'm going to take the opposite of y. To help me out, I'm going to cover the x's so I'm not confused. I'm going to go ahead and take the opposite of all of the y, so that's going to leave me with 0, negative 3, 0. Okay. Now, in order to do the x's, I'm going to cover up the y so I'm not overwhelmed with all the other points. What should I write now? Everyone, go. 1,
3, 5.
Perfect. And that's it. Now I have the 3 points I need to graph. So I'm going to go ahead and graph it. 0, 1 is A prime. Negative 3, 3 is B prime. And 0, 5 is C prime. So this is what I end up with. And again, I'm going to check for two things because rotation preserves these two things. Does it have the same size? Did it stay the same shape? Then I did something right. Okay? If I ended up with a different shape, I did something wrong. If I ended up with a different size, I know I did something wrong as well. Are there any questions? So now I'm going to go ahead and have you try number 3 on your own. Try number 3. Now we're going to go ahead and try a 270-degree counterclockwise rotation. We went ahead and did a 180 and a 90. So now we're going to be doing a 270-degree rotation that's counterclockwise. Okay. So what you're going to do now is, again, record our pre-images that they were given to us. So A is 1, 0. B is 3, 3. And C is 4, 3. Now for our image, we need to record what our coordinate rule is. So, did I make a mistake?
Yes.
Thank you. It's 5, 0. So please, if you accidentally followed my instructions, please change that. Thank you. C is 5, 0. I accidentally copied this one. So now what's going to happen is I want the image. Before I can do that, I want the coordinate rule. For a 270-degree counterclockwise rotation, does the order switch, yes or no? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay. Then we're going to take the opposite of which one?
Oh, wow.
Of which one? X. So right here, I'm going to go ahead and put A prime, B prime, and C prime. So again, what I'm going to suggest you do is go one at a time. Do all the Y's. Right now, we're supposed to keep Y. So I'm going to write down 0, 3, 0. Okay. Now I need to take the opposite of X. So I'm going to cover up my Y's and take all of the opposite numbers. So -1, -3, -5. And voila, I have all the points I need. I'm going to graph it as 0, -1 as A prime, 3, -3 as B prime, and 0, -5 as C prime. Again, the two questions you should always ask yourself, is it the same shape? Yes or no? Is it the same size? Very good. So another thing I want to mention to you guys is please make sure on your homework you're including these ordered pairs, because that's what you're going to be mainly graded on, because it's going to be tough for your grader to look at just the image alone. So please make sure you have your order pairs. Okay? So right now I want you to go ahead and turn over the page and try number 5 on your own. So now what's going to happen is they're going to ask us different types of rotation. It could be counterclockwise or clockwise, so we're going to have to make sure we know the differences between them. So it says, write the quarter pair of the pre-image and image given the following rotation. So here, I am asked to do a counterclockwise rotation. I know that. It's just the opposite of y, x, so that's going to be d prime is 1, -1. For B, it says a 180 degrees clockwise. Wait a second. I haven't been focusing on clockwise. I've only focused on counterclockwise. So I'm going to translate this into a counterclockwise rotation, and it's a 180 degrees counterclockwise. I'm going to go ahead and abbreviate CC for counterclockwise. So F prime will then become -9, -4. For C, a 270 degree clockwise, again, I haven't been focusing on clockwise. I've been focusing on counterclockwise. So I'm going to translate this into a counterclockwise rotation. So it's a 90 degree counterclockwise. So this rule, again, is the opposite of y, x. So M prime is -7, -3. D, a 270 degree counterclockwise. I know how to do that one. Okay, I know how to do counterclockwise rotations. It's basically y, the opposite of x. So Q prime is going to be 5, -2. So if you're wondering how am I getting all of these things so quickly, you can refer to the front page to see which one relates to the other one. Okay? So now I want you to go ahead and finish off E through H on your own. So now what's going to happen is they're going to ask us to rotate images, but clockwise. So for this one, they're going to ask us to rotate it 180 degrees clockwise. So notice it's not counterclockwise anymore, it's clockwise. So first thing I'm going to do is write down the ordered pairs. A is 1, 1, B is 4, 7, and C is 4, 1. In order to do the clockwise rotation, I'm going to go ahead and use the rule as the opposite of x and the opposite of y. So A prime becomes -1, -1. B prime becomes -4, -7. and C prime becomes -4, -1. I'm going to plot these points, -4, -7, and that is my rotation. And that's